A leaked phone call could turn the Madeleine McCann case completely upside down. The mysterious audio of a conversation between the young woman who claims to be Madeleine and her supposed father is circulating. But what was said in that call? And why could this revelation change everything we believed we knew? Get ready. This story has just taken a surprising turn. The Madeleine McCann case has been deconstructed, reanalyzed, and discussed countless times over the years. But now an unexpected piece emerges. A leaked call, a mysterious dialogue, and a detail that might change everything. A phone conversation supposedly took place between Julia Wendell, the young woman claiming to be Madeleine McCann, and her possible biological father, Jerry McCann. But what was said in that call? Why could this revelation be so impactful? Madeleine's disappearance in 2007 is one of the greatest criminal mysteries of the modern era. Suspects were investigated, theories were raised, yet the truth never emerged. And then, years later, Julia Wendell appears, a young Polish woman who claimed to be Madeleine, capturing global attention. The media covered her case, the internet was divided, and at the center of it all, a lingering doubt remained. What if Julia were telling the truth? After immense pressure, a DNA test was performed. The result indicated that Julia was not Madeleine, and theoretically, that should have ended the discussion. But then, something unexpected happened. A leaked phone call surfaced, mysterious. A conversation between Julia and Jerry McCann. If everything had already been resolved, why did this conversation take place? And more importantly, why was it abruptly cut off? This phone call might be the missing key, or just another piece of a puzzle that never completes. Before revealing what was said in this conversation, we need to understand what lies behind this twist. When a DNA test proves someone isn't who they claim to be, the case should be closed, right? But surprisingly, the opposite happened. What should have been the final chapter of the story ended up opening new doubts, new speculations. If Julia is not Madeleine, why does this leaked call between her and Jerry McCann exist? And even stranger, why was this conversation abruptly interrupted? Julia should have exited the scene, but she didn't. Her name kept circulating. Doubts persisted. And now this call raises even more questions. If this conversation meant nothing, why was it kept secret? If everything was already resolved, why did this phone call happen? Now what seemed like just another rumor starts to appear as something much bigger. Has the truth already been proven? Or is there still something left untold? And furthermore, what does Jerry McCann really know about this story? This leaked call isn't just any conversation. It could be a key piece, evidence that raises new suspicions about the case. If this call is real, it might suggest that something is being hidden. But it could also be another example of what happens when theories, doubts, and speculations take over a case that should have been closed long ago. Because this story doesn't involve only Julia Wendell. This call reignites debates about the impact of the media on criminal investigations, the pain of the McCann family and the theories surrounding Madeleine's disappearance, the risk of false memories and the collective belief in something that might not be real. The phone rings, the voice on the other end hesitates, and then the conversation ends abruptly. What was said at that moment might be the key to revealing something new, or it might fuel even more doubt. And this leads us to an inevitable question. Is this call the missing piece, or just another mystery without an answer? What happens when a simple conversation can redefine an entire case? Imagine the scene. The phone rings. On the other end, a hesitant voice. "Hello, Julia. Can we talk?" The answer comes cold, almost automatic. "You must have the wrong number." But then, the insistence. No, I know your voice, please." And then, silence. The call is ended. No explanations, no answers. But this short conversation raises a huge question. What really happened here? If everything had been proven, why did this conversation exist? And who, in fact, was on the other end of the line? Now that we know about this leaked conversation, it's time to analyze it in detail. Who was really speaking with Julia? And what does this call reveal to us? Get ready, because what comes next might completely change the way we see this case. The leaked call between Julia Wendell and Jerry McCann quickly became one of the most controversial elements of the case. The conversation, which supposedly took place after DNA tests ruled out Julia being Madeleine, generated more questions than answers. The audio is short, yet it is enough to further end was never officially confirmed, but many believe it to be Jerry McCann. The conversation begins cautiously. The man on the other end addresses Julia by name and suggests he needs to speak with her. Julia seems hesitant, but the call is abruptly cut off. This detail was enough to provoke a new wave of questions. Was the conversation intentionally interrupted? Did Julia get scared and hang up? Or was the call edited before it was leaked? Regardless of the answer, the existence of this phone call was enough to reignite the controversy. If the McCanns have always maintained they have no connection with Julia Wendell, why did this conversation take place? If there is no doubt about the DNA results, what would justify this contact? The lack of a concrete explanation only strengthened the theory that there is more behind this story. The repercussion was immediate. As soon as the recording started circulating, the media quickly began speculating about its authenticity. The public was divided between those who believe that this call might be proof that information is still being hidden, and those who see it all as a media manipulation. For some, if Jerry really contacted Julia, it suggests that he might have doubts about the DNA result, or even information he cannot publicly reveal. For the skeptics, the call might have been forged or taken out of context. Some believe that the voice was edited to sound like Jerry McCann's, while others point out that Julia may have been the target of a prank or someone pretending to be Madeleine's father. The McCann family's silence only deepened the suspicions. If the call were a hoax, why didn't they publicly deny it? And if it were genuine, what would it mean for everything we know so far? The call begins hesitantly. On the other end of the line, a male voice, serious but restrained. "Hello, Julia. Can we talk?" For a moment, there is silence. Julia seems to hesitate before responding. "You must have the wrong number," but the voice insists. No, I know your voice. Please." And then, suddenly, the call is terminated. What happened there? Why was the conversation interrupted so abruptly? Who was really on the other end of the line? This leaked phone call, short and enigmatic, sparked a storm of theories. If the voice really belonged to Jerry McCann, it could mean that he recognized Julia. But if it was merely a mistake or manipulation, who would have an interest in faking this call and why? The recording spread quickly, dividing opinions. Some claim that this dialogue confirms there is something more to this case, that an untold truth exists. Others believe that the audio might have been edited or taken out of context, creating an illusion of closeness between Julia and the McCann family. What draws the most attention in this conversation is the tone of urgency in the male voice. Did he really believe he was speaking with someone he knew? If so, does it suggest that there is more information? The human mind is once again playing tricks on us. To understand the real impact of this call, we need to analyze two aspects: the influence of psychological suggestion and the role of the media in constructing narratives. Could Julia Wendell genuinely be convinced she is Madeleine McCann? If so, this might be linked to the phenomenon of false memories. Studies show that under certain conditions, a person can convince themselves that they experienced something that never happened. And when that belief is reinforced by thousands of people around the world, it becomes almost impossible to separate it from reality. Since Julia made her claims, countless theories have been created, analyzing every detail of her appearance, her story, and even the smallest gestures. If this call really happened as presented, could it be a sign that there is something more to be discovered? Or are we witnessing yet another episode where the need for answers leads to the creation of a truth that may never have existed? The McCann family's silence about this call only adds to the speculations. If the call were false, why was there no official denial? If it were true, what does that mean for everything we know so far? Now that we understand the weight of this phone call, the big question arises. Does this conversation prove anything? Or are we faced with another mystery without resolution? The leaked call between Julia Wendell and the supposed voice of Jerry McCann unleashed an avalanche of theories. The audio was short, but the reaction was intense. Some saw the call as concrete evidence that something larger is being hidden. Others viewed the phone call as just a media stunt, a way to keep the case alive on the internet. But after all the speculation, what does this call really mean? The first possibility is the most obvious. The call was real and signified something important. If Jerry truly recognized Julia's voice, that would indicate he has doubts about Madeleine's identity. The fact that he has not made any public statement about the call raises suspicions. Many believe that this silence may mean something is being withheld, evidence, a clue, or even information that has never been disclosed to the public. On the other hand, there is a less conspiratorial explanation. The call may have been completely misinterpreted. The hesitant tone, the abrupt interruption, could it all be the result of a simple mistake? Is it possible that someone with a similar voice was behind the call? Could Julia have been the victim of a prank or a misunderstanding? And then there is a third possibility. the most uncomfortable of all. Julia Wendell may have been influenced by third parties to continue this story. Over the years, we have seen several cases of people claiming to be missing figures merely to gain attention. Some did it intentionally. Others, influenced by false memories, genuinely believed they were someone they were not. The truth is, the human mind can be deceptive. Studies show that when an idea is repeatedly reinforced, the brain may begin to treat it as a fact. Exposed to so many comparisons and theories, Julia might have started to see connections where none existed. And that brings us to an important point. When a case goes viral, the need for answers can override the search for the truth. The story of Julia Wendell teaches us something essential. Coincidences are not proof. The leaked call, the DNA tests, the physical appearance, each of these can be analyzed and interpreted in various ways. But in the end, the desire to believe can be stronger than any concrete evidence. It does not confirm that Julia Wendell is Madeleine McCann, nor that Jerry McCann knows more than he has revealed. It only reinforces what we already know. When a mystery grows big enough, any detail can seem like a clue. The McCann family's silence can mean many things. Perhaps they simply do not want to fuel more theories. Maybe they are tired of responding to speculations, or maybe, like the rest of the world, they too have no answers. The Madeleine McCann case has transcended the status of a mere disappearance. It has become a global phenomenon, a story that stirs emotion and curiosity in millions of people. And when a mystery becomes that large, people begin to fill in the gaps with their own theories. This has happened before in other famous cases. People claiming to be missing children, coincidences treated as proof, small details amplified until they seem like revelations. But in the end, the desire for answers may be stronger than the truth. Julia Wendell may be just a young woman who believed in something that wasn't real. Perhaps she was influenced by others, or maybe on some level, she really does have doubts about who she is. But this call, this mysterious phone call, is not the key that will solve this case. And now one last question. Why did so many people believe it could be the missing piece? Perhaps because when a story is repeated so many times, it starts to seem real. Perhaps because there remains a part of the public that needs to believe that Madeleine McCann is alive. Or maybe deep down, we simply love the mystery more than the answer. In the end, the search for answers continues. But are we really seeking the truth, or just a version of it that seems more interesting? The case of Julia Wendell and the leaked call shows us how quickly a detail can transform into a theory, a rumor, or even a potential revelation. But in the end, does this conversation prove anything? We've considered all possibilities. On one hand, some see this call as a fundamental piece of evidence, a sign that something bigger is being hidden. The hesitation in the voice, the man's insistence, the abrupt ending of the call, each detail has been analyzed and interpreted in various ways. On the other hand, there are those who believe that this call is nothing more than noise in a case already full of speculations. Perhaps it was a mistake, a prank, or even audio manipulated to seem more important than it really is. And the fact that the McCann family did not comment directly on it only fuels the doubt further. But there is something even more interesting here. What does this story really teach us? If there is one thing this case has made clear, it is how the need for answers can lead us to see connections that might not even exist. When a mystery drags on for years, any new detail can seem like the missing piece, the key to the truth. But is that always the case? Or is it that sometimes the mystery becomes stronger than the truth itself? Psychology has shown that our minds have an incredible ability to fill in gaps. When there are unanswered questions, we create narratives to make sense of what we do not understand, and that is exactly what happens in cases like Madeleine McCann's. The longer the conclusion remains elusive, the more people feel compelled to find new explanations. And that leads us to an essential question. What if this call had never been leaked? Would we still be talking about Julia Wendell? Would her story have been forgotten, along with so many other claims that emerged over the years? Or is it that, deep down, we always find a reason to believe there is something more? The fact is, the truth has never been so hard to pinpoint. In a world where information circulates rapidly, where anything can become a major event in minutes, what separates fact from theory? This case teaches us that we must question not only the stories we hear, but also why we choose to believe them. And now I want to know from you. After everything that has been presented, what do you think? Does this call really mean something? Or are we facing yet another case where the need to believe has become stronger than the truth itself? Leave your comment below and let me know your opinion. I read them all. Now, if you're intrigued by this case and want to better understand how our minds can deceive us, how false memories can be created, and why we tend to believe in unlikely theories, I have a special recommendation for you. There are fascinating studies that explain how our perception of reality can be manipulated, how stories can be distorted until they seem real, and above all, how the search for the truth can, ironically, lead us further away from it. And believe me, what you saw here today is just the surface of this phenomenon. If you want to deepen your understanding of all this, I left a link with a recommendation in the first pinned comment. Check it out and then let me know what you think. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep following the developments of this and other cases that challenge our perception of reality. Now, if you want to see another story full of twists, mysteries, and secrets, I have the perfect video for you. Click here and continue this investigation with me.